QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Help and support options. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. We are in our Get Great Guitars practice file. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the view dropdown, selecting the open windows list. We're now talking about the help and support options, many of which can be found in the help dropdown. Note, as you think about help and support within QuickBooks, there's a lot of different options. It can be kind of overwhelming. I would group first what type of supports you need. Do you need support that's going to be technical type of support, or support that's going to be an add-on type of feature that you're going to be needing, or do you need support that's going to be accounting or bookkeeping related? Are you talking about support, in other words, back to the first category, that's going to be the way the technical system is working of QuickBooks, a technical issue, or do you need support on how to enter something, for example, which would be a bookkeeping or accounting type of issue? If you're looking about support on a technical type of issue, then you're more likely, I would say, to go to a QuickBooks source, actually contact QuickBooks possibly to help with that technical type of issue or your account issue or something like that. If you're dealing with something like how should I enter something? What's the proper way to do this? How should I interpret this? How should I read my financials? Then you want to think about support, and I would lean more towards, and obviously I'm a little biased here as an accountant, but I would lean more towards accounting help, like a QuickBooks expert or another accountant professional, many of which who have experience in QuickBooks to solve that type of issue. So once you categorize those two out, then you can kind of think about what support options that you want to be taking. Now, the first step you want usually in the general layout of the support is to check your help options up here. So if you have a support, whether it be a technical support or whether it be support for like how to enter something, the first place to go is probably the drop down and then the help item here. So this is kind of like the help book, which is going to be a search type of engine. So you'd want to go into here and then do your standard search for whatever type of thing we're looking at. Let's say we're looking at a credit memo. We want to know how to enter a credit memo. Then you might want to start, and this is where I would recommend starting, get an idea of what QuickBooks has on that topic, see if that will solve your problem. This is like probably the first line that QuickBooks will try to steer you to basically solve your support problems. Now, if you need to go beyond that point, then you might be then again, if it's a bookkeeping situation, I would then lean towards getting help from a bookkeeper, possibly someone who's a QuickBooks professional, or just your accounting or CPA firm on advice on how to enter something. If it's a technical issue, then I would lean towards possibly going to QuickBooks. Now, if you think about going to the QuickBooks support, we're going to jump over to the Intuit website. So you could go to the Intuit website. Remember, QuickBooks is owned by Intuit, and you could go into the Intuit website. Then I would go to QuickBooks, because we're going to be looking at QuickBooks. Intuit is the owner of QuickBooks, however, so I typically start on the Intuit website. And then let's go down all the way to the bottom here. I'm going to look for the QuickBooks Pro Desktop, the desktop version, which is what we are on. And then you can look at your options. Notice it has the sales talk up here, but this is basically going to be a salesperson. They might be able to redirect you to the support from there. And obviously we have the support tab up top we will take a look at shortly. But if you scroll back down, if you look at what you purchased in terms of the desktop version, then you've got the Pro Plus, the Pro Plus payroll, and then the Enterprise. You can look at basically the support options, and it says here an unlimited customer support. So you can then contact them with the customer support if you have the Plus Pro, which I think is over and above the standard Pro, which is down here. This is QuickBooks Pro. Then you got QuickBooks Pro Plus. They're trying to steer people towards the Pro Plus, and that support is going to be an added feature that they're basically adding there. Notice down here, it's available add-on. You have the unlimited support here, which is an add-on feature. Whereas if you buy the Pro Plus, which is basically the same thing, but now you have the subscription type of model, they have the unlimited support up top. So you can basically contact the QuickBooks professionals. Again, if you contact the QuickBooks themselves or Intuit themselves, I don't think they're always going to be as good at giving you like the bookkeeping or data entry type of advice. I think they're going to be really good at answering questions with technical problems to the software, but you can give them a try, and they might be increasing that support section on the bookkeeping side of things as well. Note up top, they have the supports item here. If you go into support, you'll find some things that'll be kind of similar to entering the information into the help section of the software that we took a look at, but it could be organized a little bit differently. So you can look at some of your support options here as another place to go. Obviously, QuickBooks is a big software, so it's the leading software in its category, for mid to small businesses. And therefore, there's a lot of information out there if you just Google search or if you go into a YouTube search. Obviously, if you go into a Google or YouTube search, you might want to note whether or not the feature you're looking at is going to be sensitive to the year that you're in on. Is it a newer feature, in other words, or is it like something that's been around for a long time? If it's a newer feature, then you're going to want to sort your YouTube search to things that are in the current year or something like that. Limit the time frame on your search, and it might be easier to find it in something like a YouTube. Back to QuickBooks. So those are the first two areas to go to. And then, of course, your CPA and your advisor. Now I'm going to go back to the drop-down. If it's a new feature item, then you can take a look at the new features here. If you want to find a local QuickBooks Desktop expert, you can go here. Now, again, you're going to have some overlap between your QuickBooks Desktop expert possibly, or the person that might be if you're working with like a bookkeeper and your accountant. Those could be the same person. They might be separate people. You might have someone that does your taxes at the end of the year that helps you out with your accounting and or bookkeeping. And oftentimes there's more specialization these days with the bookkeeping, the data input process being done possibly by someone else than the person who now does the tax return at the end of the year. So if those people are the same people, then of course you can talk to your CPA firm or tax preparer. If you have a bookkeeper that's helping you to enter the books or helping you with the books in some way, shape, or form, then you might want to go to a QuickBooks professional. So these are people that basically, QuickBooks has a kind of support program that gives you some reliance on the skill level of the people that are working with you there. So instead of just going to the phone book and looking for a bookkeeper, then you might want to use the tool so that you can find someone who is a bookkeeper and specializes within the specific software of QuickBooks. Many CPA firms, of course, and accounting firms and bookkeeping firms will be acquainted with QuickBooks, but the Pro Advisor, if you talk to a QuickBooks Pro Advisor, you have some assurance within the QuickBooks setting that they have understanding of the functionality of QuickBooks and have taken some kind of examination for that. So might be a way to go. You can search here by location. This is a mock address of Beverly Hills, 90210, 90210, and then you could select service. Let's say we're talking about like a 1099, and I'm going to say search, and then we'll say the industry. I'm going to say computer and support. I'm going to say we're looking at QuickBooks Desktop Pro. QuickBooks Desktop Pro. So there we have it. And there you have kind of your results. So you can look up a QuickBooks Professional. So that could be a useful tool. And I think, again, if you look at like a QuickBooks Pro Advisor Professional, someone who is an accountant, I think they're probably better than my experience with the customer support for accounting issues. So if I just contact QuickBooks or Intuit, then if I have an accounting issue, I might not be as reliant on that support myself. I would rather talk to an accountant. If you're talking to the QuickBooks on a technical issue, then I think the QuickBooks support contacting QuickBooks would be the way to go. That could change over time. That's my feeling of it now. When you look at the accountant side of things, then you've got basically people that are you might specialize in bookkeeping, people that are specializing in the process of entering the data, and that could be a separate thing than tax preparation and possibly financial statement like audit and review or making the financial statements, which could be a separate thing, or you might group those two things together. And if you have a tax professional or CPA firm, you might want to ask them about that, because the CPA firms might be saying they might be focusing in on, if you have a CPA firm for your taxes, on doing taxes, and they might work with then bookkeepers to help them support doing the bookkeeping. So the bookkeepers specialize in the bookkeeping, and then the tax does the tax work at the end of the year, possibly the compilations and whatever needs to be done for the year-end work. So there could be a separation of duties that you could talk to the tax preparer at the end of the year to do that, and see if they have someone to recommend, and see if they want to pick up the bookkeeping. Or you can then you can search, of course, for then a bookkeeper to help you out with the data input process or give you advice on that. And to do that, you might want to search for a Pro Advisor, which has some added qualifications that are provided through, Intuit, some kind of similar to a licensing type of process to give you some validation on their skill level. So then I'm going to go back to the help drop down again. We've got the QuickBooks, find a local pro advisor, send feedback. So obviously you can send feedback. QuickBooks Tool Hub, fix setup and file issues. So if you have setup and file issues, this is kind of a tool that will take you there that could fix those. And if you talk to QuickBooks support, if you have these type of issues, this is an issue where I think QuickBooks support could be good, contacting Intuit specifically. They might tell you to use this kind of setup process or advise you if you look up the what to do in that kind of situation. They might advise you to go here and use this process to fix that issue. And that's the first thing you could do before contacting Intuit itself for more technical troubleshooting. If you contact them first, then they might tell you to do that and see if it fixes it. So internet connection setup. So if you have issues with the internet connection setup, you can go here, new business checklist. This is basically just a checklist, but it's a helpful tool. It's not really specific to QuickBooks per se, because it's kind of an accounting checklist. But it's really useful because they have some insights what you need to do for a new business. So you might want to if you're a new business, you might want to go through their checklist. The year-end checklist, same thing. The year-end is going to be a complicated time for the accountant. You got to compile your books and whatnot, do your taxes and everything, 1099s, W-2s, whatnot. So they have a guide here to help you out with that. It's not really completely specific to Intuit, but it's kind of a general guide that could be useful. So it's worth looking into. Add QuickBooks Services. So if you wanted to add QuickBooks Services, they would be here. And so those could include, if you go here, these would be add-on type of things that you would be paying Intuit for, the owner of QuickBooks. So get paid faster, credit cards, so you can be accepting credit cards. Make recording checks simpler. Use design to work seamless with QuickBooks, so checks to get the money for your business, compare options, so you could possibly get financing here. So I'm going to close that back out. And any of those add-on features, by the way, as well as like a payroll add-on, I would talk to your accounting firm as well. So talk to a professional before adding any add-on features to make sure that you're buying what you need to be, that you need, something that's going to help you. So update QuickBooks Desktop. So if you need to update it, you can go here. So notice if you have QuickBooks Pro now, they should be updating basically yearly. So because you bought a subscription model. If you bought QuickBooks Pro Plus, then it should be updating. You should be able to update it because you're buying a subscription model that they're going to be updating. If you bought just QuickBooks Pro, then you have the standalone, and you might use this basically to go to the updating of it. Manage my license. So if you want to buy additional user license, so you can have multiple people working on it, sync license, change my license number, and so on and so forth, you can go here. Secure password reset. So if you want to reset the password, you can go there. Reset Intuit ID settings. So if you need to reset those. QuickBooks Desktop privacy statement about automatic updates, and that's basically it. So bottom line here is, once again, I would be separating between, do you want technical help on how the system works, the software side of things, or do you want bookkeeping help? If you want technical help, ask Intuit. If you want bookkeeping help, you might want to go somewhere like a pro advisor or your CPA firm. Either way, the first place you might want to start is going to the help menu here and searching out your problem, see what it has to say, and then decide if you need to contact someone from that point, whether you want to go technical into it or bookkeeping and accounting. I would think accountant or pro advisor.